Righty Daddy, Fantasy Football Affair, live stream Thursday Night Delight. We got the man, the myth, the legend, fantasy points extraordinaire, and rounding the block, expert ranker. Joe, how we doing, my man?
I'm doing well, my friend. It's good to be here with you on a Thursday night, enjoying. Forgive me for being a little presumptive, but judging by the sound of your voice, you are likely south of the Mason-Dixon line right now.
Pensacola, Florida. Just
okay,
the last couple days I moved here. So
I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, so it was hot today, as I expect it will be for much of the rest of the summer here. So it's good to be with you here, enjoying the hot summer. It looks like I'm sweating only because my lighting's kind of crappy right now.
I gotta turn that fan on, baby. AC,
yeah. Oh, dude.
Let's go.
The problem here. I'm an AC guy. Don't get me wrong. The problem here is it makes it look like I have one of those spinny top hats if I put the fan on. So I have to sweat through it. My office is above the garage,
right,
in my house. So we have the AC, but it doesn't work as well in this room. And of course, in the winter, when it is actually cold for very short periods of time, it gets frigid in here. But right now, it's time to suffer through the sweat here and just provide some fun, interesting conversation.
Dude, absolutely. Before we get started, man, big props to you, my man. You're one of the ones during the middle of the week, you and Ross Tucker. I just love it how y'all bang it out, telling us what we need, what we want. Wide receiver 2, great matchup, throw them in. Just kind of cut out all the bullshit and let's get to we're all here to win, baby.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Ross pod, and obviously it's been a great experience for me, but like it forces me to kind of dig a little bit deeper early in the week because ultimately our takes hopefully are not defined until Friday. We're not doing our jobs if they're defined before then. So I always like to bring up, hey guys, we record this on Wednesday. As a matter of fact, there was a point when I was recording with Ross on Tuesday, during the football season, and I'm trying to break down 17 games from 16 game. Well, now it's 16 games from that angle. Man, that there was some tough things, but it forces you to be sharp and really to look at what had just happened too. And certainly things evolve, but people haven't really complained too much about it, and that's
the whole thing is you're not only that, but you're an expert ranker, dude. You have the credibility to back you up, and then you're just zinging through these. And most of the time you're hitting on them, dude.
It's just kind of common sense, my friend. Like, there is obviously so many great people in this industry, and I think at Fantasy Points, and the one thing I will say is like, Fantasy Pros, it was 2014 to 2018. The rankings that I submitted were like over that 5-year span were the most accurate pre-draft rankings. So like I have to point out it's that span because we didn't do it last year with the first year of the Fantasy Point site. But the secret of the whole thing is like that those rankings were a collaborative effort. When I was I used to be a fantasy guru, and then I was at Fantasy Free Agents for 1 year, and those were staff rankings. That was Hansen and Brawley and Barfield, that was all of our brainchilds. And we submitted the one set, that was the one set of the rankings. That's all that was, there was we could say I'm not trying to knock anybody, but it wasn't like, okay, Graham, you go put in your set, and Joe's going to put in his set, and Tom's going to put in his set, and John's going to put in his set, and Scott's going to put in his set, and Wes is going to put in his set. And one of those guys is going to finish top 5. That's not the way it was. So, it's and that's what I think we're doing at Fantasy Points is we still have that collaborative effort, that human touch. And I'll be honest, we just had a long staff meeting today, and we were just talking about all the things we can do better. Quite frankly, exactly. John used the phrase in our staff meeting today. He's like, I feel like when the bullets started flying, we all kind of defaulted to doing our own thing, and we didn't really collaborate as much as we could. And while agreeing with that, my point with John was the problem last year was, we launched this business, and we all were worried, right? Are the bullets going to start flying? Until they started flying, we weren't 100% sure they were going to start flying. when baseball kicked off, and I mean, obviously wrong sport analogy there, but when baseball started, you were starting to get the, okay, this might happen. And then baseball had all the COVID shutdowns, and then the bubbles were coming there.
What a
and
crazy year to start a business.
Yeah. I mean, you got to, and like, by the way, you know, for fantasy points has been in the works since 2019. Like,
right.
We were not like sitting there, you know, getting the updates that Rudy Gobert had COVID and the NBA stopped its season. And I was like, oh shit, Hanson, Barfield, did you see this? Hey, how about we start a business?
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like that.
This was
like,
a dream, a passion you had in the works. Yeah.
And so, you know, I know, like, you know, but we're sitting there and we're trying to push this product, and that's what we're doing. I mean, we're trying to entertain, we're trying to inform, but you know, we are trying to put a roof over our head, which thankfully I have. Would like to have that fan on, but that's
gotta get that AC unit in there, baby.
Yeah, we have AC. It's just not great in my office. But the whole thing was it wasn't just this thing to launch it at the drop of a hat, but we're trying to push this product, and we're trying to, you know, say we've got best ball drafts and we've got projections, and every third Twitter message is, why are you even doing this? There's not going to be a season, you know? So you had to try to isolate yourself from that. And, you know, but there was that point last season where we had never worked together. I mean, Graham, myself, Brawley, and Hanson had worked together, and Ben Kukanis, who is invaluable to us behind the scenes. We had worked together in the past, but adding Scott to the equation added something else. We're trying to push different packages. We kind of defaulted into doing things that we were kind of comfortable with. And we didn't collaborate as much as we needed to. We didn't streamline everything as much as we needed to. So there was a learning experience there. Oh. But ultimately, I wanted to tell, like, you were bringing up the rankings thing, and I always get kind of, it's one of those things where, like, not blaming you, but like, I almost roll my eyes when I hear it, because I know damn well that was a staff ranking, you know,
right?
And I submitted them, and of course I had a unique a spin on those, you know. Of course, my information is in there, but you know,
but y'all had a 4-year run together.
Yeah, and it was a damn good run.
Who else has done that? Like,
I don't think anybody did.
That's like a world championship run right there, dude. Just, you know, almost like a dynasty. And now you guys are able to show, you know, form this idea, and you know, you got to crawl before you can walk.
Yeah,
but you guys are doing it.
We're going to be better this year. We just had a staff meeting today that was just so awesome. Anyway, I didn't want to like start just talking about the business side of things, but like, it's hard for me to discuss that rankings thing without discussing the business in our process.
Absolutely, man. Like, and you gave all your boys a shout out, man. Like, it's not just you. Teamwork makes the dream.
Oh God, no, it's not even close to just me. Not even close.
Well, dude, let's start it off. Icebreaker. You're all business. I get it. Video games, man. Give me your 101. You can either say your favorite childhood video game. You could say something you're watching now with your kids, whatever. What is your go-to, either all time or now?
Well, oh man, I'm going to try to no, I have to say my 101 all time is Metal Gear Solid.
Woo!
That's number one. Like, objectively, I mean, you go back and you play Metal Gear Solid 1, it's hard to play. It is hard. It's everything's getting remastered or remade these days. That's in need of one. You better fucking do it right though. If you remake Metal Gear Solid on me, you better do it right. Man. Only because like even of that series, Metal Gear Solid 3 is my favorite. But Metal Gear Solid was the video game where I was like, oh, I don't have to play just Madden and NBA Live anymore.
Right.
You know, like, oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now I get it. Cause I was 12 and I was like, this is awesome. And that story, of course, was wild when you were 12, but objectively the best video game I've ever played is Breath of the Wild. I know that's like,
that's interesting right there.
I mean, it like, just like in terms of like the hours and hours I poured into it. And there's a lot of games that I've played recently that I've poured. That's actually my favorite thing to do, is long single player games. You know, I absolutely blow at online shooters. I would love to find one that I kind of get in on the ground floor and I can be competitive. And like, you know, when I'm sitting on my butt, frankly, after I do this for 45 minutes, an hour, whatever we go, where I can go downstairs and chill out with a glass of whiskey. I would love to have, a shooter where I can just play a few matches and feel like I'm going to be competitive, but I suck at them. I'm terrible.
Man, I feel like I got PTSD playing shooter games because everybody starts coming at me, and I'm, you're trying to get your what's the word, your hand-eye coordination going.
Oh yeah, I'm so bad at them, and like all the 12-year-olds just are so much better than everybody. So that's the thing. I'm actually right now. What I am probably going to do after we do the pod is sit down and play Mass Effect, which is which I never actually played before, and they just released the remastered edition, and I'm on Mass Effect 2 right now, which has been a step forward from the first game. So I'm enjoying that, but that's a hobby of mine. I'm not. I've played some of the indies, like I played Hades, and like so I'm in on some of those indies, but I am Joe Blockbuster, like those Blockbuster video games, like
oh man,
they appeal to me. Those are the games I like playing, like the super long open world stuff. Open worlds have come a long way because even in the days when open world first became like in vogue was what Grand Theft Auto 3. And like as good as that game was, a lot of the side missions were kind of samey, and like a lot of open world, like the Assassin's Creed game, which some of them to me have appealed to me and others just didn't latch me. A lot of them have suffered from samey content. Like, all right, how many times am I going to have to follow these horse tracks? Like, all right, I've done this about 35 times already, and
I think get sucked into them where it's like, the time flies so much when you're zoned in on something like that.
Yeah, it's just but like they've done like Red Dead Redemption 2 stuck with me just because of the variety of the missions and the characters. As unpolished as it was at points, the world was just spectacular. I love The Witcher 3. I really like open world RPGs. That's kind of which Mass Effect is. So I'm into those kind of games.
Absolutely. I got the kids and the wife. I don't get as much video game time as my kids do, but they're all about, I guess it's Skylanders or whatever. It's just, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
I try to jump in. It's funny how bad I've gotten over time from stepping away from it. Dude, buy or sell. We're talking guys that people are just iffy on. They don't know if they have that superstar power that they had in years past. Some people are worried about guys. Some people aren't. So let's start it off with quarterbacks. We got two right off the press. We got Jalen Hurts. You've seen little glimpses with inaccuracy, things like that. Yeah. But you got the new coach, all that. And then you got Lamar. Passing took a dip. Rushing was still there. Are these guys going to be in that quarterback one threshold still? Or do you see Lamar going up? Or
I'm in on both of them. I'm buying both of them. And I was completely out on Lamar Jackson last year. And the only reason I was out on Lamar Jackson last year was cost. But I'm currently looking at best ball 10s. The NFFC took over my MFL 10s. And I'm looking at their ADP since May 1st, which is essentially like since the NFL draft. Lamar Jackson's 61 overall. That's the first pick of the 6th round, mid to late 5th, around there. Okay, that's a 3-round discount from where he was going last year. And quarterback 1 is in the overall range of outcomes. I am buying Lamar Jackson. I'm buying him aggressively at that price. It's not even a question to me. We've seen him finish as the QB1. He finished strong down the stretch last year when they seemed to almost pull back on, we need to throw the ball more. And they blamed it on a number of things. Greg Roman was like, we didn't get the full off season. And, Hollywood Brown couldn't. All right. I'm not going to say couldn't. All right. It's 10 o'clock at night. It's 10 o'clock at night. Hollywood Brown couldn't catch COVID. Okay, that's a terrible joke, but it wasn't. All right, 10 o'clock at night. I'll put that one. I'll put that one aside for now. Here's the thing with Lamar. My question is, do I want him to throw more? I think if for the Ravens to become a better football team, they need to expand the passing game. But for our game, I don't care if the Ravens become better. If they just stay the way they were the last couple of years, Lamar's going to be bananas for our game. The problem is, they add Tylan Wallace and they add Rashad Bateman. The issue is with those guys because Rashad Bateman, man, if you took Rashad Bateman let's just say, as opposed to Devontae Smith, you dropped him in a hot air balloon in Philadelphia, and Devontae Smith wasn't there. Rashad Bateman and Devontae Smith are switching in the rankings right now. Like, it's just, that is not a great place for wide receivers, but I like that they're surrounding Lamar with better weapons. He's not going to turn into Phillip Rivers all of a sudden. He's not going to be not running at all. I am totally in on the price for Lamar Jackson. And switching over to Jalen Hurts. The problem with Hurts is, like, 2 years ago when Lamar Jackson had his MVP season, you were getting Lamar Jackson in the 10th, 11th round. When Patrick Mahomes had his MVP season a few years ago, you were getting him in the 10th, 11th round. Josh Allen last year, you could have made the argument that he should have won the MVP. Aaron Rodgers obviously ran away with it, but Josh Allen was certainly in the conversation. He was getting drafted in the 10th, 11th round, So by historical trend, somebody like a Jalen Hurts, who, let's be honest, he's got 4 games on his resume. Right. He should be an 11th. Hell, I mean, based on what he put on tape, he should be a 13th or 14th round pick. But that cheat code that the running quarterbacks had given us the last 3 years, it's over. It's over. Like, everybody knows. Nobody's going to, like, you're going to see some, of your, I guess, your typical fantasy publications that are going to come out, or, just the stuff geared towards people who just need to draft in August to beat their office mates or whatever in a $10 league. They're going to throw out there and say, oh, Jalen Hurts is this year's quarterback sleeper. If for you and I, and the people who are, let's be honest, the people who are watching a fantasy live stream or listening to a fantasy podcast in June, Jalen Hurts is not a sleeper. He's wide awake. I mean, with 4 games on his resume, and many will argue that they weren't all that impressive, he's an 8th round pick, 7th round pick. And, now that being said, one thing against Jalen Hurts is he wasn't a first round pick. So there was a disparity on what he was as an NFL prospect. But when I come down to it, am I penalizing a guy for playing the last month of his rookie season in what was obviously a broken offense? I mean, say what you want about Wentz, and plenty has been and will be said about Wentz, but even removing Wentz from the equation, you have receivers who aren't getting open. Zach Ertz looked like he was out there on a Segway last year. The offensive line had all kinds of injuries. Peterson completely lost his mojo. They fired Peterson.
Right.
They weren't like,
a whole different team.
This wasn't, oh, we're getting rid of Carson and everybody else is back. They got rid of Wentz and fired Peterson. So they thought the coaching was a big problem too. So I don't know how much I'm going to hold Jalen Hurts completing 52% of his passes in a 3.5 game stretch against him. And they're going to be better at the receiver position with Devontae Smith. That's instantaneously an upgrade for them. He's already their best receiver. But ultimately with Hurts, he's going to run. And he's going to run, and he's going to run a lot. And hell, Nick Sirianni might tell him, if your first read's not there on this play, go run. Like, go get a first down.
That might be that perfect cure for the common cold.
And I mean, and if you just want to be honest, like, Hurts, man, you listen to him talk and you're like, he's probably not as talented as Lamar Jackson, and he's certainly not as talented as, like, Josh Allen. But, man, he's got something that, like, and you look at his background, sticking at Alabama to improve as a passer, even when Tua had won the job. And, there's just something about him that you like. But yeah, I'm in on both of these guys. Hurts is the last guy you can get that has serious rushing upside, who doesn't have, like, significant questions. That mainly being, when are Justin Fields and Trey Lance going to play, right?
Well,
that's the
what's
other question.
Crazy about Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense. Everybody's just shitting on them, even in the offseason. Nobody wants to touch these guys. Mm-hmm. And you have a quarterback, like I said, new coach, everything you've said. This guy just screams like he has the upside to sneak into that QB1 territory. Easily.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's where he's getting drafted. But, I think if you're drafting Jalen Hurts, you're thinking, I mean, he was the number 1 quarterback for, like, the last 3.5 games of the season. So, I mean, we've seen him do that, and especially in best ball, where maybe he has a bad game or two, but he's going to run. Yeah, right. I mean, I'm in on both these guys. I want a running quarterback this year. If I'm looking at for a boring quarterback, I think, I'm a little out on Matt Ryan now just with the Julio stuff. But But Matthew Stafford is the non-running quarterback I'm really gravitating towards this year. I think he's going to blow up. But, I mean, I just think the running quarterbacks just give you so much advantage. I'm buying both Lamar and Jalen.
I think it would be – I mean, I know it's a far-fetched, but Stafford is NFL MVP next year.
I mean,
holy crap.
I mean, the odds were – as soon as he got traded to the Rams, man, the numbers that the books might have had, those were gone soon. Because I think people are starting to see, man, this offense could take off with Stafford. I mean, I know you didn't ask about him, but
no, but they did good with Goff, and now you're adding Stafford, who's like another level. Right with you. Let's hit RBs, man, because I know a lot of people don't like this guy. I love him. I'm a Monty. I want the full Monty. I love what he does. I understand the Cohen, Damian Williams, you name it. But Eckler and Montgomery coming off this big year, didn't have the greatest quarterback. O-line was a little iffy, but he still produced. Eckler, on the other hand, walking into a new coach, but the weapons around him are great. So are you buying or selling these guys as RB1s?
I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm holding David Montgomery. I'm not I know crypto's going through a little bit right now. I'm holding David Montgomery at his ADP, which is like end of the third round, which I think is totally fair. The problem is you look at his ADP and you're seeing around him Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, CeeDee Lamb, Chris Godwin, Robert Woods, who I love.
Days,
so it's a lot of receivers who are going there who I really like. Robert Woods, back to the Stafford conversation, is going to be on a million of my teams this year. Montgomery, I really liked what he did. Don't forget they added Damian Williams, who maybe can do a little bit of the passing down work if Tariq Cohen isn't ready to go.
Right.
Austin Eckler, I'm buying. I mean, you just look at Anthony Lynn couldn't ruin this guy. And who's taking carries there? Joshua Kelly was terrible last year.
Man, he started off 2 games, and we're
you're like, oh, this guy's got something.
Yeah.
And then Justin Jackson's more of a slasher. He's always hurt.
Right.
I actually think the guy who might end up, taking the most carries is their 6th round pick, Larry Roundtree.
Wow.
Who's kind of a no-nonsense back. And, the problem with Joshua Kelly was he was a no-nonsense back, but the staff that drafted him is gone. So I just wonder if the new staff said, all right, we're just going to replace that no-nonsense back with a guy we think's better in Larry Roundtree. So that's what I worry about. But, Austin Eckler doesn't need 280 carries to produce.
Right, he gets those receptions, and he's
and I mean, Justin Herbert's a big-armed guy, but Austin Eckler produced when he was out there last year. I'm buying on Austin Eckler. I really am. I do think it's tough. And maybe let me pose this question to you, because this is a discussion here. I'm seeing right now, and I expect this gap to close significantly. But best ball 10 since May 1st after the NFL draft, Austin Eckler's ADP is 14 and Najee Harris's is 22. Who would you rather have? Because that's going to be a big decision, I think, in a lot of drafts come August.
Man, I mean, it doesn't take much for Eckler to get going, though. That's the thing. And he had those 92 receptions the year before.
I mean, he had 54 in 10 games last year.
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, there's nobody else there. If he can stay healthy, I don't see why he can't, be boom boom.
Yeah, like Larry Roundtree, I think he's going to get. I project he'll be the guy who leads them in carries, if not Eckler. But Larry Roundtree ain't taking catches from Austin Eckler, and as we know. Scott Barrett's done the research in PPR formats. A target, not a catch. A target is worth 2.8 times as much as carry. So, Eckler's the proven guy. I'm a sucker for Najee Harris this year, I'm telling you. But I am buying Eckler. I think he's in position to have a very good season.
I think everybody with Najee, they're just expecting this guaranteed workload. They're expecting all these touchdowns. And I think Steelers are another team. It looks sexy on paper to an extent, but it's still are they starting to unfold, or are they just, it's a weird one.
Absolutely.
Let's keep the ball rolling, baby. Receivers. DJ Moore. He's been everybody's, second coming of Jesus forever. Michael Thomas, Slant King. You've already heard the reports about Winston, blah, blah, blah. And then Julio might be on the move. Sounds like he will be. So this is DJ Moore.
You did not give me easy ones here, man.
Yeah. I mean, dude, and these are the guys people are talking about.
Yeah, and
that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like the Montgomery Eckler. Montgomery was great last year, but everybody's like, probably not this year. DJ Moore, everybody expects him to just go bonkers every year. And then you have Throb and Robbie Anderson coming there. He's getting Darnold back. I'm still high on Robbie. But DJ Moore, let's start with him, man. He is the apple of everybody's eye. Give me your thoughts. Is he going to be a career? I hate to say it like that. Is he the best wide receiver 2 in the game, or is he going to be that wide receiver 1 breakout?
I would say he's more of a 2. And now my question is, does he play more out of the slot? Because if he plays more out of the slot, then we know Darnold's history with Jamison Crowder, and DJ Moore is a much better player than Jamison Crowder. But
right.
Like Darnold, in as much as he has not been good in the NFL, he has gotten the ball to his slot receiver. I'm going to sell only because 3 receivers around him, and I know damn well this can make me look foolish. I like better than him, and those are Robert Woods, Deontay Johnson, and Adam Thielen. And now if I was taking any of these 4 receivers to start my team, DJ Moore's number 1.
Just
but I'm just a little worried about Darnold. And say what you want about Teddy, and I have said my piece about Teddy, and I just he's just not very good. But he got the ball to his receivers last year. And that's why in Denver, I think Drew Lock's got way more upside than Teddy Bridgewater. But if I'm drafting Jerry Jeudy, I want Teddy to be the quarterback just because I feel like, he's going to get more empty calories. I'm only going to sell only because I like the ADP on DJ Moore is very fair. I'm looking at 46 right now. Okay. That's totally fair. But I like Robert Woods
expecting more out of that.
Yeah. I'm going to be drafting Robert Woods more than I will be drafting DJ Moore. I'm going to sell Michael Thomas as well. The thing I like about Thomas is I really like that Taysom Hill, believe it or not, he produced at an elite level with Taysom Hill at quarterback. And in the event Taysom Hill's the starter, and there's another great quarterback sleeper for you, the problem is all those guys have big questions about playing time. I actually might feel better about Michael Thomas. And you know what? I'm not that worried if Jameis is the starter either. Like Jameis had big time numbers throwing to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's a great slot receiver. Michael Thomas will put up numbers, I think, if Jameis is the quarterback. The problem here for Michael Thomas is I'm looking at an ADP of 29.
Right.
And
so high.
Do I think there's a 15, 16, 17 draft pick difference between Michael Thomas and Robert Woods and DJ Moore? I don't think so. And so if I'm looking at that 28, 29, that might be your spot maybe at the end of the second, beginning of the third, where you can get that last RB2 that you feel really good about, like an Edwards-Helaire, your guy Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins, Miles Sanders, if you like him this year, that would be an interesting buy-sell guy too, because I think you're going to get a wide range of opinions on that one. But I just think where he's going, I'm probably going to sell on him. As a matter of fact, according to Best Ball 10s, he's going 2 picks ahead of Terry McLaurin. McLaurin 10 times out of 10. That's not even you do 15 Best Ball drafts and you get the same draft slot in all 15. You're never going to take the same team every time. We're not that smart, right?
Right.
Ranking Michael Thomas above Terry McLaurin or vice versa. People have to understand when you have a guy ranked 14th and a guy ranked 15th, that's not me telling you that I would take that guy 60 times out of 60 over the other guy.
Right.
That's just maybe I would take him 32 times out of 60, and that little narrow difference is enough to make a. So I would diversify there, but McLaurin, I would have to say I prefer way more than Michael Thomas, especially in a best ball format. So that's why I'm selling on Michael Thomas. I got to tell you, man, I got a weird feeling about Julio. And
he's 32, 10 years in. He doesn't want to be in Atlanta. And you've seen when he plays, he's still got the juice. But
that when he plays is the key, right?
Right.
That's the key. And now Julio might be one of those guys that you just totally. Scott Barrett's got a nice series coming out on the website starting next week. And it's about consistency and about how you really do or should at least approach a best ball draft differently from a redraft where you're going to pick your starting lineup every week. I know anybody who's had Julio and you're even playing DFS. Oh my God, he's got this matchup. Oh, but that ankle, that knee, and then he limps off 5 plays into the game, and you're like, oh, jeez, man.
The hamstring again.
It's not a problem in best ball.
Right.
And if he ends up going to a place like Tennessee, I think Tennessee is the one where fantasy analysts are looking at this. Maybe even San Fran, where you're like, they could use him, especially Tennessee. Tennessee could really use him. But if he goes there, he doesn't have, there's not going to be that expectation of he's got to carry it. Because if he goes to Tennessee, he's their number 2 receiver.
Right.
Because A.J. Brown's the one. Even with Calvin Ridley there and now Kyle Pitts in Atlanta, I still feel like Calvin Ridley hasn't usurped Julio on the food chain yet, even though maybe he should have. I think Julio would probably be better served in a spot where the expectations aren't sky high for him. Now, the good thing about Julio is the ADP is adjusted. He's a 4th-round pick. I don't know if that's going to change if he goes to Tennessee, but I think people are smart. I don't think you're drafting Julio right now on the expectation that he's in Atlanta. I think the expectation is he gets traded. I'm buying Julio at that price. Maybe that's foolish, but I'm buying him at that price as a 4th-round pick.
It's going to be interesting to see where he goes, because I think if he goes to the Patriots, it falls quick.
Yeah, because, I know there's a lot of reasons, man. There was a lot of reasons. The Patriots receiving core last year was the single most abysmal receiving core I've ever seen. Cam had the COVID, but he also wasn't very good, and if it's not Cam, it's Mac Jones, who's a rookie. So I would actually be more excited by Julio going to a place where, they have Brandon Ayuk and Kittle in San Fran. They've got A.J. Brown in Tennessee. I'd actually be more excited by him going to a place like that, to be quite honest with you.
Old Tennessee. Old South Carolina, they ever going to get a football team? What's going on there?
Well, I guess the Panthers want to usurp South Carolina, or want to. I think they've openly tried. They have a training camp here, so they have training camp at Wofford, which is in Spartanburg. That's where Jerry Richardson went to school, even though he's not the owner anymore. They're still extending that olive branch, and I know damn well before Deshaun Watson's proclivity for tugmaps.com came out. Don't ask me how I know that.
Yeah, well,
before that came out, I think David Tepper would have sold the world to trade for Deshaun Watson, because perfect. Deshaun Watson's a god in this area.
Yeah.
So, so that would have been, because I live in Greenville. Everything here is Clemson football, Clemson football, Clemson football, Clemson football, Clemson football. And occasionally you'll run into a Georgia or a South Carolina fan. But in this area, that's all there is. I'm from Pennsylvania. So right. I'm from the Philly area, but I went to Penn State college.
Yeah.
If Penn State lost on Saturday, well, at least the Eagles and Steelers play tomorrow.
Exactly.
There isn't that here. There isn't that. The Panthers are, not to say they're an afterthought. In my neighborhood here, I've got a gentleman who is a Panther season ticket holder. So there are fans. There are Falcons fans here. We're pretty equidistant. A little quicker to get to Charlotte just because traffic isn't as bad as going to Atlanta. But we're equidistant. But there are fans. But it's just like, that's my hobby. Clemson's.
Yeah, it's a college town.
Right. Exactly.
All right, let's keep the ball rolling. Tight ends. These are 2 guys. They were high end last year. Kind of came out of nowhere. And everybody kind of same thing. Everybody doesn't know what to do with these guys. Tanyan, you got the Aaron Rodgers beef going on. Logan Thomas finally blossoms into this beautiful rosebud. Are these guys going to be top 5 tight ends, or is everybody so high on Pitt, so high on these other guys? Tanyan was saved by touchdowns. Logan did a little bit of everything. Yeah. Hit me with it.
I'm selling Tanyan only because, John Hansen had Adam Schefter on his program this morning. And, while I actually, I want things to be easy, man. You're throwing these tough ones at me. And I know that there's no utility to people if you're like, Joe, are you buying Christian McCaffrey this year?
It's like send you Kyle Pitts or Mike Gesicki.
Yeah,
and then
right.
It's like,
But while I want things to be easy for us, like we currently have two guys going at or near the first round who have a big G on their helmet. You know, that's a lot easier to sell myself on when I'm doing a draft if I know Aaron Rodgers is under center. So right. I want Aaron Rodgers back in Green Bay. But when it comes to a guy like Tonyan, I have to take the glass half empty type approach here. And like
it's been since what, Jamaica Finley maybe, that we've had a Green Bay tight end do anything.
Yeah,
maybe Bubba Franks.
Oh man, I feel so bad about Jamaica Finley because he was a stud, man. And he just couldn't stay healthy. But look at some of the guys who were going after Tonyan, and in this example, I'm talking guys who are going a round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds after him. I feel better about Irv Smith.
Right.
There's not a huge competition. Now, granted, there's not a huge competition for targets in Green Bay either, but I also don't know a damn thing about Jordan Love at this point. Irv Smith, I know is throwing him the football. I know it's Thielen and Jefferson. They're going to run the ball, but he has a wide ass open window to be the number 3 receiver there. So I like him more. You know, Evan Ingram, if he can shake the drops,
hard to him there.
Yeah, he's going 2 rounds after Tonyan in best ball 10s right now. Jonnu Smith is going 3 rounds after him. I said this on one of our podcasts this week. I got a weird feeling about Jonnu Smith too, man. He's a guy who I think Belichick loved him, and he went out and he made sure he got his guy. I wouldn't be stunned if Jonnu Smith leads the Patriots in targets this year. So that's a guy I'm buying on. I understand the situation's weird. People don't really know how to break that down, but I'm buying on him. You know, I'd go all the way down here, and I'm looking at Adam Troutman, like 5 rounds after Tonyan, and I'm like, how confident am I that Tonyan outproduced him? Now, I would have Tonyan ranked higher, but, I mean...
Yeah, you're not blowing your load on Tonyan.
I'm going to tell you
that talent.
Right now, there's a guy going 70 picks after Robert Tonyan. And there's no way there should be a 70-pick difference between these two guys. And that's Tonyan and Anthony Ferkser in Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's loving the Ferk.
So, but his ADP's 174 overall. He's free. So my whole point is, where Tonyan is getting drafted, there's guys 6 rounds later who I would not put a $500 bet on Tonyan having a better season than. That's the whole point I'm making with Tonyan. So I'm selling. That's an easy sell for me at his price.
So what about Logan Thomas, man? This is a guy that he balled out and he was targeted. Granted, you're getting Fitzmagic, but this is another one that seems like he could repeat what he did last year.
And I'm not. And here's another example of why I'm out on Tonyan. According to Best Ball 10s, sorry to keep bringing them up. That's good ADP. It's what I'm using right now. 103 overall for Logan Thomas, 107 overall for Robert Tonyan. That is stupid. Yeah. I don't have Logan Thomas ranked as a top 5 tight end, but he's a lot better than just a 4-pick difference away from Robert Tonyan. So now I'm buying Logan Thomas. He's one of those guys who I think there's that Hawkinson, Pitts, Goddard, Thomas tier of guys. Now, this is assuming Philadelphia trades Zach Ertz, which I think they will, but that's not a guarantee yet. Where those are kind of the tight ends I'm really targeting, because I don't expect them to be Kelsey or Kittle, but they're a lot cheaper. Logan Thomas is in that tier of guys who I'm targeting.
Not paying up for a tight end, it sounds like.
Yeah,
let's push it down a little bit, get stacked at receiver and RB while you can.
We just had an article on our site by Jeff Henderson. He introduced a fantasy war statistic that he had developed. I know people have done it, but he developed this one in-house. And, I mean, he makes an argument that Travis Kelce should be a top 5 overall pick. And
wow,
I can acknowledge that research and respect that research, and also internally tell myself I'm not that clever. Where I like, who the hell am I? Who am I to think? And this is not in FFPC. This is not tight end premium. This is he makes FFPC. No shit. Like, Kittle and Waller are going to be top 1st round picks in that format, FFPC. But he makes it in general that he should be. And I have a tough time convincing myself I'm clever enough to use a top 5 pick on a tight end and then build a team that I think's a winner. But maybe that's a mental block I have to get over.
I just have a sneaky feeling about Logan Thomas. You had 72 receptions last year. Granted, they got Samuel. They got these other weapons. We see Fitzmagic loves to throw it down the field. I get it.
Fitzmagic, man. That's why it's one of the reasons I love Terry McLaurin.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's Fitzmagic, man. Like, what do you and like beyond McLaurin and Curtis Samuel, which admittedly is a good group. You have Gibson in the backfield. Your next best receiver is De'Ami Brown, who's a third-round pick. Good draft capital, but no guarantees there. Kelvin Harmon's coming off an ACL. Antonio Gandy-Golden made a couple of flashes, but, you have Cam Sims who did some things, but, not exactly a murderer's row there,
Dude, and best ball, Ryan Fitzpatrick, another one.
Yeah,
he could be some sexy points for you. Dude, that's it for football. I'm going to hit you with a couple more. Give me favorite Penn State player. You can either say one while you were there. I remember the LeVar Arrington, the Courtney Brown guys. I even remember when I'm 34, so I don't know. How old are you, Joe?
I'm 34.
Oh, man. Bam, dude.
Exactly the same age. So
who was there while you were going to school? Give me like the big football player from Penn State.
This is obviously things have happened at Penn State since then.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I think we're all realizing, and I think a lot of people have realized that like culture problems are not a Penn State thing. Not to absolve anybody of blame, but college sports probably in general needs a significant overhaul. But when I was there, my sophomore season, Penn State was coming off just an abysmal. I think we were 4-7 my freshman year. They had no receivers. They had no talent. They had no juice. At the time, I did not like the quarterback who was there, Zach Mills, and with the benefit of oh God, I shouldn't use that phrase. Looking back. I understand the guy had zero help, so I absolve him of that blame. But my sophomore year was 2005, and Penn State had recruited in 2004 a 5-star quarterback you might remember by the name of Anthony Morelli. So everybody anticipated Morelli in his sophomore season was going to come in and be the starter in 2005, and everybody was fired up for it. And the coaching staff named Michael Robinson the starting quarterback. And I remember on campus, people were like, what the hell? Well, I mean, Michael Robinson, and I was one of those people. I was like, why are they not playing Morelli? Michael Robinson's my favorite player in Penn State history.
That's awesome.
Just like a leader, just like a guy you'd want to just go to battle for. He's my favorite player. Now, they had some great players when I was there. Paul Plus-Lusney played in the league for 38 years, so he was there. They had a great recruit by the name of Derek Williams who didn't necessarily pan out in the NFL, but he was a big-time recruit. You had Tony Hunt, who had a spell in the NFL out of the backfield. Deion Butler, who played for a long time. Jordan Norwood, who played for a while in the NFL, longer than Deion Butler actually in the NFL. So they had some good players on offense, but Michael Robinson, he was just the catalyst. Obviously things have happened at Penn State since.
Oh man, but you get to do some tailgating and stuff like that. Live the college experience,
dude. So one of the things that happened when I joined Fantasy Guru when I was a kid, I was 22. Right. I would go up for the weekend and then drive back in time for the NFL games on Sunday so I could do my work. But like one of the things, and I would still do this, by the way, on a big football weekend, shit, I've been to that stadium enough times.
Right.
I would go and just go to tailgate and watch the game in a bar or somebody's house.
Way bit more fun.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Michael Robinson, long story short, is my favorite Penn State player of all time.
I remember, like I said, I'm a Georgia fan.
Oh, okay.
I'm more pro now, but I still love college. But back in the day, obviously, you see the star. I'm a Cowboys fan. We went through the Troy Aikman gets hurt. Quincy Carter, I thought he got drafted by the Cowboys. I was shooting him off as a kid, and then everything went to shit. But just one of those fun.
Quincy, he had some talent.
Yeah, just didn't. Parcells had him. It was a good time to be a Cowboys fan. Mm-hmm. And then of course the DJ Shockey, David Green, just different memories as a kid. Dude, when I'm not doing football, I do a Wrestling Rewinds podcast.
Okay.
So I figured I'd bring this up. Stone Cold in the Macho Man. Yeah. You have any wrestling background? You ever watch it as a kid?
Oh, for
Anything
sure.
like that?
For sure. I watched wrestling as a kid for sure. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin, not only is he my favorite wrestler, he's also the greatest American of all time. So I'm a Stone Cold fan. My favorite growing up was Shawn Michaels.
Oh yeah.
Now let me tell you something for a fact. There are two groups of people who love fantasy football more than anybody: professional baseball players and professional wrestlers. I've been in leagues with both.
That's awesome.
And they both love it. I wouldn't say I'm buddy with any pro wrestlers, but my guy Eric Young, he one of the nicest guys you would ever meet. I'm in the flex leagues with Jake Seeley every year with EY. He's one of the nicest people you would ever meet, and like I'm like, we go, when we would do those drafts in person, I would go out to the bar and me and EY would just sit and shoot the shit a long time. So he's one of my favorite guys. But I used to. I'm actually not sure what's going to happen this year. With Sirius XM and the fantasy game day show. But my co-host, I would still call him my co-host for the entirety of that show, is Matt Camp, who now works with WWE. Yeah. So I'm very close with Matt, and obviously he's way more into the wrestling thing than I am. But quite honestly, I don't watch wrestling now. Like I know
it's hard to keep up with everything.
I don't do it. I know who is it? Cody Rhodes has a new promotion that's getting a lot of buzz.
Crazy
AEW.
Yeah.
And I don't watch it, but I gotta be honest with you. My wife and I watch a bunch of TV. I mean, with the COVID thing, we moved to South Carolina where we didn't know anybody, so that's kind of what we've been doing.
Yeah, you get shows and
professional wrestlers are some of the most interesting people, and we love wrestling documentaries, and we'll watch documentaries even on guys I've never heard of.
You seen Dark Side of the Ring yet?
Yeah, so that's the one we've been watching. Like, we watched the New Jack one.
Yeah, crazy.
Like the Owen Hart one had my wife in tears. I felt awful about that one. But New Jack. The only thing I remember about New Jack is I grew up in the Philadelphia area. Man, I'm 10 years old, and I'm flipping through the channels late at night. I was like, man, when's ECW on? When we couldn't find it out, and you just hope it's on TV when you're. And New Jack would come out, and Natural Born Killers would just play his entire match, like so freaking awesome. But
just a different time. We didn't have. It was literally you're watching like Jerry Springer, you're watching wrestling, Network, all this crazy stuff.
Austin, man, when I was in college, we used to pregame by watching like Austin videos and like getting all fired up to go out when he brings the beer hose out and he squirts everybody. My favorite Austin line is price check on Jackass.
Oh my god!
When he beats the hell out of Booker T, and that was a really good. The A&E documentaries have been hit or miss.
Right, a little different.
I thought the Ultimate Warrior one was like sugary sweet for a guy that I'd never really heard.
Everybody shit on that guy. It's crazy.
Yes, I mean, I guess at some point they needed to get the other side out there, but anyway, I thought the Macho Man one was they really took a crap on him. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's just weird. You would never think Macho Man's walking around with a fanny pack full of ecstasy.
I don't know. I don't know how fair that was without him here to defend himself. But and so I guess same with Warrior, but he was a nut job anyway. But we've been watching a bunch of wrestling documentaries, and the one that really got my wife into this is I think it was a 30 for 30 they did on Ric Flair a couple of years ago. And
crazy. And he's still like that too.
Yeah, and it was great. And my wife was like, I don't know if I want to watch this. And then we put it on, and she was like, oh, yeah, that was really good. And then the Andre the Giant movie that HBO did. And that is a God's honest truth. I do not watch wrestling. I do not consider myself a wrestling watcher. I consider myself a wrestling knower.
The old school stuff.
Like, for instance, if Roman Reigns were to walk through the door right now, I'd obviously know who he is. Okay.
Right,
I know enough, exactly. But that's just the way if CM Punk were to walk through the door, I'd know who he is. I don't consider myself a modern wrestling watcher, but I'm a knower, and I just think the stories behind the scenes are so totally fascinating.
When I used to be a bellman valet at the Hilton Pensacola Beach. So these guys would all come to vacation on the beach, get their tan on, and they'd invite you to go out and party with them.
Yeah.
And, me being, I'm like, dude, I'm a sports junkie. Hell yeah, I'm single. Let's do it. And the shit I've done, like I said, I experienced my 20s was a blast, but these guys are hardcore in the ring and outside the ring. No questions asked.
And you know, I know the big line now is now a lot of the wrestlers are addicted to PlayStation, which is probably a hell of a lot better than what they were addicted to in the 90s. I mean, like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, I mean, so I'm a respecter of the business. I tried one time. I just could not get into watching it without a crowd.
Oh, it sucked.
Like now I've been to multiple pay-per-views, by the way.
Really?
Like, so yeah, even in recent years, because like it's a fun thing to go to in person, but it just dude, the crowd is like that's what it is.
That's everything.
It's a spectacle, man. So yeah, it's and I'm from the Philly area. As a matter of fact, I'm actually from the Lehigh Valley. I'd like to say from the Philly area just because it's a lot easier, but I'm literally from the Lehigh Valley. I did not know shit about Jimmy Snuka killing his girlfriend.
Oh, Superfly.
And that's in Allentown, which is right near where I grew up. I grew up in Easton. So
and he couldn't like read or write. Like this guy went through life without being I can't do anything.
I don't know how Vince skated on that one, man.
There's a lot of stuff that you dig into and you're like, what the fuck? Dude, real quick before we get out of here, hit me with an Eagle, man. You don't have to say this year's, but who's your guy? Was it McNabb? Was it Deuce Staley? Was it Michael Vick? Who was your guy?
Oh, my favorite. Well, I mean, the 1 year of T.O. was a freaking blast, man. That one year before he blew up, that was probably. I think Deuce Staley is going to go down as like one of the single most underrated. Well, I don't know if he's going to go down because I think he's still underrated. That guy was a baller, man. He was a really good running back. Like he was one of my fondest memories of the Eagles, because for most of my childhood, they were respectable. But like, when I was growing up, it was, and I was aware of what the Eagles were. Randall was on the tail end. He couldn't shake injuries, and he certainly couldn't shake Buddy Ryan. So he couldn't shake injuries. My single most vivid memory of Randall is his near MVP year with the Vikings.
Yeah.
Which is like, now, of course, I knew, who Randall was, and he was the first player he's the first player whose name I think I knew, like, was Randall Cunningham. But like, that was a little bit before, like, I was born in 86. That was a little bit before I could really appreciate that. You start to become a fan, but you just kind of know names and you don't really think of like, oh, this guy is good because, you just know he's good. So like, but I'm not to pick on you because you're a Cowboys fan, but after that, after Randall, the Eagles weren't very good. They were in purgatory. They had some awful years in the late Kotite and then the Ray Rhodes years. They were 3-13 in Rhodes' last year as head coach, and then 5-11 in Andy's first year, which was McNabb's rookie year. But the first game where I can like remember going like, holy shit, that was fun with the Eagles was the kickoff game of the 2000 season, the Pickle Juice game, when they just walloped the Cowboys. And I think that was Aikman's last year. They opened the game with an onside kick. Deuce went for like 270.
Going crazy, dude.
And it was just that was the first time. And like, as much as I loved football, I was a big Eagles fan. Like, I was an Eagles fan long before that, but that was the first time they took the step towards becoming a good franchise.
Exactly.
And that's on Andy and McNabb.
Dude, and McNabb for so long, or it felt like so long. He was just on point, man.
Yeah. That was it. And that's when they really started dominating the division for like the better part of a decade.
Long time.
Like at least 5, for 5 years. Like, I think there was a stretch where like they didn't lose a division game, like, because the Cowboys were down, the Giants were down. The team was down. The team's been down for 25 years, but the team was down. The two best head coaches of the team in my lifetime are Joe Gibbs 1 and Joe Gibbs 2. So
crazy, dude. Crazy.
I mean, that's the way it's gone for the team. But the Giants that year, 2000, the Giants actually won the division, and that was the year the Giants went to the Super Bowl and got blown out by the Ravens.
That's right. Yeah, Jim Fossil or whatever it was.
Yeah, Jim Fossil, Kerry Collins, Penn State.
Yeah, Kerry Collins, Penn State. Woo.
But the Eagles lost to the Giants in the playoffs. Jason Sehorn made an interception. But then after that, that was the year the Eagles had then won 4 straight divisions. They went to 4 straight championship games, finally got over the hump. Sans T.O., but in the T.O. year against Atlanta, T.O. didn't play in that game because he had the broken leg. Another Cowboy I hate, Roy Williams.
How about Marco Murray, man? I was so mad he went to y'all. I was cussing, and then I was like, yeah.
DeMarco got the bag.
Yeah, and
Chip Kelly got the boot. So I'll be okay with that year. And I'll fully admit right now, my relationship with the Eagles is more of like a, I have to analyze this objectively. Okay, like right. You can't be a fan like a fanalist. Like right. Do I still pull for him? Of course. But like you can't. You have to look at them from an objective
have to draw the line.
Yeah, of course. I'm not somebody who's gonna be like, well, I'm not drafting any Cowboys. Like that. Obviously, I would be terrible at my job if I did that. But I would do that Chip year in 2015 10 times out of 10 again because it was an enema. And I know the Peterson era was short-lived, but like any Eagle fan would live that again.
Oh, for the Super Bowl?
To get the ring. No doubt.
I don't know what that would feel like. Like I said, it's been since 95, I think. Just crazy. Dude, I'm not going to waste any more time. Get on the games. Have a nice cold drink, dude. Joe, like I said, been a big fan of yours forever. I'm glad I hit you up, and I'm glad you came on, dude.
Thanks I had a blast, man. I had a great conversation. Thanks for giving the platform.
Dude, anytime. Yeah. Bang, bang, baby. Bang, bang. Thank you. Let's get out of here, Joe. Go have a drink, have a smoke.
Enjoy it.
Dude, appreciate you. Keep on keeping on.